tales of those with something to hide.
Jersey last weekend. Answering a few questions about the use and abuse of steroids. We try to question the gladiator called Wolf. He's here because he's a hero to millions of TV fans. We're here because he sets a bad example, taking steroids. For youngsters who actually think you're something special. Well, you're not, are you? Tonight, anabolic steroids, the new drug craze that's threatening teenage health and sometimes life.
You can go and get these drugs without any difficulty whatsoever.
Roger Cook, I'm here to talk to you about your steroid dealings.
You've turned my lad, a decent lad, into a murderer.
It was us who was selling steroids to. The drug pusher comes by bite. The drug deal goes down in a children's playground. The youth with his back to the camera is buying steroid injections. He's taking steroids to look fitter, bigger and better.
You want to look good, you want to feel good about yourself. If you're going out, you're all of you going to feel good about yourself. You're all going to have a good laugh. And it's just purely cosmetic, really.
It's 22 quid. Taking steroids can help put on muscle tissue. Taking steroids can also cause liver and heart damage.
I've got my needles in there and all.
Physical and sexual deformities, violent mood swings, and ultimately death. The pusher may be young, but he's part of a huge multi-million-pound illegal network, which is feeding and fueling a growing demand from teenagers.
It seems to be more the middle to late teenagers that are becoming involved in it. Partly because of the dance craze, a lot of the rave music, you take your shirts off, you expose your body while you're dancing, and so you need to have a good body, or you want to look smart and attractive when they're doing that.
Police concern is now shared by many, including the Sports Council.
Well, we're extremely concerned about the way that anabolic steroids, apparently in use by a lot of elite athletes, have now become almost a street drug, a regular drug for the young people to use to give them a better body image. Young males, they want to look better, they take this drug, builds up their body as far as they see, without any apparent side effects, because they look so darn healthy. And that's a real difficulty for us, telling people that it's not as safe as it appears to be.
Shockingly, over 50% of those going to most needle exchanges these days are swapping needles used not for hard drugs, but for steroids.
I'm not scaremongering or sensationalising. I've got an insurance agent coming up and asking me about steroids, and I want to look like the WWF, or I want to look like Wolf, and I've heard, if I use these steroids, I'm going to be really big and I can beat my mates up at school.
Many ill-informed users believe steroids are a shortcut to a fabulous physique.
Well, basically we go on holiday quite a lot, want to look well on the beach, want to look well, probably better than the average man when we're out in the pubs or clubs or whatever. And, it's just a hobby basically. I'm a builder by trade, so it's no competitions or anything like that.
Yeah. As a steroid user, Paul Dring has now decided to take the health warnings seriously. The blood test results will take a couple of days. He's hoping he's done no permanent damage, because he now knows that steroids can kill, as indeed they did recently in Glamorgan.
Here we have a case of a young man who's 20 years old, trained to both up on anabolic steroids, and was found dead in his bedroom as a result of an asthma attack brought on by the misuse of steroids.
All sports ban steroids, but it's an open secret that they're used widely in bodybuilding. Priscilla Choi is a natural bodybuilder and not a user, but as a researcher into steroids, she knows the dangers very well.
Well, the particular risks for young people taking these drugs are firstly physiological, in that they will have not finished growing, and that by taking these drugs they may be stunting their growth, and also the risks
from a psychological point of view, are very dangerous in that they increase aggression and hostility and possibly violent behaviour.
Violent behaviour has led to the formation of a support group for the families of steroid abusers. It was prompted by the bizarre behaviour of Sherry Lambert's ex-boyfriend.
He was just like a raging bull. Absolutely terrible fits of temper and psychotic behaviour, depression. He was just a maniac to live with.
She received letters from the families of children as young as 14. Why did they start taking steroids? What reason do they give you?
They've gone to a gymnasium. Their ideals are to become a gladiator look-alike. They soon learn, within the first few weeks of going into a gymnasium, that one of the easiest, simplest ways, if you can call it that, of becoming like a gladiator figure is to start taking steroids.
At the home of the gladiators, the London Television Centre, the proposition that any of them took steroids would be a serious blow to the programme's clean-cut image. Tonight, we name those who've tarnished that image. Wolf, the best known of the gladiators, claims to be proud of the show.
It's nice to see that as a country we're more fitness orientated now as a result of gladiators.
We first talked to him at the start of our investigation as he opened a gym. He insisted that he knew absolutely nothing about the use or abuse of steroids.
I'm not qualified to talk about that subject, so I never do. I don't know anything about it, so, you know, you shouldn't talk about subjects you're qualified to talk about.
But one former gladiator, Hawk, admits that during the filming of Gladiators, he did take steroids, a habit acquired when he was building his body. Did you ever take steroids?
As a competitive athlete, yes. But in moderation.
To get there or to stay there?
To get there, yeah. But as I say, in athletics, I can understand where people have taken them, because I've been in that position, and the pressures involved, especially when there's money involved as well. I believe the risk is warranted to a point. But with these kids, just to look good when they're out, and so they can take their shirt off at a rave or what have you, no way. Just not worth the risk at all.
Flame, who doesn't use steroids, says that for some gladiators, they're part of the culture. So there's a certain amount of hypocrisy here, isn't there?
Loads. I think that they say, oh, Gladiators are clean cut, it's a great show for kids. I think it is. It's showing, you know, people having fun doing fit work, but the Gladiators are superhuman and big.
Flame, in real life, Kimbra Frazier, told us some sought chemical help.
I had one occasion where I did wander into a locker room and, you know, see something, and it was steroid. I checked it, and it was in a men's bag, and it was stuff there, and it was a steroid.
Steroids, as we found, are freely, though illegally, sold at gyms across Britain. In this case, in Ripley in Derbyshire, where the man in charge readily promoted them to the teenagers we sent in.
I told my young lads here, who've never been on it before, try tablets for a couple of courses. I had a young lad says that I put £24 on in like 2 courses.
Ian Barker was just as quick to sell us the goods. The buyer isn't breaking the law because steroids, tablets or injections are classed as a medicine. The dealer is breaking the law, selling without a prescription. Mr. Barker, could you explain to me why it is you're selling prescription-only drugs? Steroids? You just bought that lot, and one of our team members bought that lot a few days ago. The dealers are feeding and fueling the demand, and the warnings have gone largely unheeded so far.
I can't say it loud enough that the damage, the potential damage to your heart, to your liver, to your brain in terms of the psychological dependence on these drugs is extremely worrying, and you should be aware of that.
You say
Warrant to be here.
don't have to have a warrant.
Well, let's go then, please.
It's not as if the steroid problem wasn't known about. One senior policewoman wrote a report on it 6 years ago.
So that, in fact, you can leave actually. If I ring the police, please do. All right. Hey.
We must do something to make the public aware of what anabolic steroids will do to their bodies. To make young people aware that they are certainly putting their lives at risk because of the other side effects associated with the taking of anabolic steroids. And make perhaps government aware